The morning sunlight fell softly through the thin curtains, painting the small room in warm shades of gold. A young girl sat on the edge of her bed, her legs dangling above the wooden floor, her fingers tracing the folds of the blanket. Today was her birthday, and although she had been counting down the days for weeks, excitement was mixed with a quiet sadness. Birthdays were supposed to be loud, full of friends, laughter, and cake, but for her they were often quiet, lonely mornings with a few presents and a hug from her mother, who was always busy with work. She carefully opened the first present, a small box wrapped in shiny paper. Inside was a set of colored pencils and a sketchbook. She smiled, feeling a little spark of happiness. Drawing had always been her way of expressing herself, her way of telling stories when words failed her. She picked up a pencil and began to sketch a small flower on the page, her hand moving slowly but confidently. Each stroke felt like a secret conversation she was having with herself. Her mother appeared at the doorway, holding a plate with a slice of birthday cake. She smiled, a little tired, and waved at her daughter. The girl waved back, trying to hide the loneliness she felt inside. Her mother knelt down, placing the plate on the bedside table. They shared a quiet moment, cutting the cake together. No words were spoken. There was no need. Their connection was in the shared glances, the gentle touch of hands, and the understanding that came from living together every day. After breakfast, the girl looked out of the window. Children were playing in the street, their laughter floating in the air, but it felt distant and unreachable. She longed to join them, to feel the warmth of friendship and the excitement of shared games, but she knew it would be hard. Most children did not understand sign language, and she often felt isolated. She watched as a group of children ran by, chasing a ball, shouting and laughing. She pressed her hand to the glass, imagining what it would be like to run and play with them, to be part of the noise and joy that seemed to come so easily to others. The girl's mother called her from the kitchen, and she reluctantly tore her gaze away from the window. The house was quiet, except for the faint humming of the refrigerator and the occasional car passing by outside. Her mother was preparing lunch, her movements efficient but tired. The girl noticed the lines of fatigue on her mother's face and felt a pang of guilt. She did not want to burden her mother with her loneliness, knowing she already carried so much responsibility. She returned to her sketchbook, drawing a small scene of children playing in a park, a birthday cake in the center with candles burning brightly. In her imagination, she joined them, laughing and running, her hands raised in excitement. It felt like a small escape from the silence that often surrounded her. She drew carefully, adding details to the faces and the movement of the children, capturing the joy she longed to feel in real life. Hours passed slowly. The girl's mother occasionally glanced at the clock, worrying about the time, about bills, about work, about everything she had to do. She called the girl over to help with small chores, trying to keep her occupied. But the girl's mind drifted back to the imaginary park and the children she had drawn. She sighed quietly, wishing someone would notice her, someone who would see her for who she really was, not just as a quiet child who sometimes faded into the background. In the afternoon, her mother stepped out for errands, leaving her daughter alone for a while. The girl wandered through the small house, her fingers brushing over familiar objects, feeling the textures, the shapes, the memories they held. She picked up a small stuffed animal, holding it close. She whispered a few words, not expecting an answer, just wanting to hear the sound of her own voice in the empty room. She sat by the window again, looking out at the street, hoping maybe that today might be different, that maybe someone would notice her and make her feel less invisible. She noticed a small package left on the doorstep, her eyes widening with curiosity. She ran to it, carefully opening the brown paper to find a card and a little toy. It was from a neighbor who had remembered her birthday, a simple gesture, but it made her heart flutter. For a moment she felt a spark of connection, a reminder that even small acts of kindness could make a difference. She held the card close, reading the words with her eyes, feeling a warmth that spread through her chest. The afternoon faded into evening, and the girl's mother returned. She brought home a few groceries and a tired smile, apologizing for being late. They prepared a simple dinner together, the kitchen filled with the sounds of clinking dishes and the soft rustle of packaging. The girl helped where she could, chopping vegetables under careful supervision, stirring the pot, setting the table. It was ordinary, yet in its simplicity, it carried a sense of comfort. After dinner, the girl returned to her sketchbook, She began to draw the evening sky, the stars slowly appearing, twinkling like tiny candles. She imagined the world outside filled with possibilities, with connections waiting to be made, with friends she had not yet met. She felt a gentle hope stirring inside her, fragile but real. Perhaps this year things could be different. Perhaps she could find someone who would understand her, who would see the beauty in her silence and the stories in her drawings. As night fell, she curled up in bed, holding her favorite stuffed animal close. She thought about the day, the quiet moments, the small joys, the longing for connection. She whispered a wish to the dark room, hoping that tomorrow might bring a new chance, a new smile, a new friend. Her eyes closed, and for the first time in a long while she felt a sense of calm. Tomorrow was her birthday, and perhaps it could be a day when her loneliness would be touched by kindness, a day when someone might truly see her. She drifted into sleep, her mind filled with drawings of children playing, laughter she could not hear but could imagine, and the faint hope that her wish might come true. In the quiet of her room, she dreamed of a world where she was not invisible, where gestures and smiles spoke louder than words, and where the simple connection of another person could make her feel seen, loved, and celebrated. And somewhere deep inside, a small voice told her that maybe, just maybe, her birthday would not be as lonely as she had feared. The next morning, the girl woke to the soft sounds of the neighborhood coming to life. Birds chirped outside, and the sunlight streamed gently through the curtains, touching her face. She stretched and yawned, feeling a mixture of hope and nervousness. Her birthday continued, and today she wanted something to be different, something to break the quiet routine she had grown so used to. After breakfast, her mother had to leave for work early, so the girl stayed behind. She decided to take a walk to the small park a few blocks away. The streets were familiar, yet each time she walked them, they felt a little lonelier than before. She held her sketchbook tightly, imagining herself drawing the scenes she would see at the park, hoping that maybe today would offer something unusual, something special. When she arrived at the park, children were playing on swings and slides. Their laughter reached her, though she could not hear the words. She stood at the edge watching them, wishing she could join in. One of the swings creaked as it moved back and forth, and she imagined herself soaring high into the sky, feeling the rush of wind, the thrill of freedom. But she remained on the side, unsure how to approach anyone. Nearby, a man was sitting on a bench, a small child holding his hand. He was watching the children play with a gentle smile, his eyes warm and kind. The girl noticed him glancing her way, and he nodded, a friendly gesture that made her heart skip a little. The man had a presence that felt calm and safe, a contrast to the busy chaos of the park. The man noticed the girl standing alone, her sketchbook clutched to her chest. Something about her made him pause. He could see her hesitancy, her longing to join in, and he remembered how hard it could be for children to feel left out. He smiled gently and waved at her. She hesitated, then waved back, a small smile creeping onto her face. Curiosity overcame her shyness, and she approached the bench. The man patted the space next to him, inviting her to sit. She slid onto the bench cautiously, her hands resting on the sketchbook. The small child tugged at the man's hand, curious about the new visitor, but quickly returned to playing on the grass. The girl felt the man's kind eyes on her, and it gave her courage. The man noticed her hands moving over the sketchbook and asked if she liked to draw. When she did not respond with words, he tried simple gestures, miming a pencil in the air. The girl's eyes widened in surprise. He knew how to communicate without words. She nodded slowly, then held up her sketchbook, showing him the flowers and playground scenes she had drawn. His eyes lit up with genuine interest. He pointed at one of her drawings and mimed clapping, a sign of encouragement. The girl laughed quietly, thrilled that he understood and appreciated her work. She tried to show him more, flipping the pages carefully, explaining the scenes through gestures. He responded with smiles, nods, and gestures of his own, making her feel included for the first time that day. As they sat together, he reached into a small bag he had brought and pulled out a few colored pencils. He handed them to her, signaling that she could draw right here in the park. Her eyes sparkled, and she eagerly began sketching the playground, the children, and even the man and his small child sitting beside her. They exchanged quiet, playful gestures as she worked, sharing a connection that felt natural and comforting. The man introduced himself to her silently, using simple signs he knew from basic lessons. She introduced herself back in sign language, and he repeated her name with care, showing that he remembered. The small child giggled at their hands moving in the air, fascinated by the motions. The girl laughed too, realizing that even though she could not hear, she could still enjoy the warmth and playfulness of interaction. Hours passed as they shared the park, drawing and communicating. The man showed her small tricks with sign language, teaching her gestures for words she did not yet know. She followed eagerly, trying to mimic his movements. Each success brought a smile, a sense of pride that she rarely felt when trying to communicate with strangers. She felt seen in a way she had never felt before. At one point, a ball rolled toward them, kicked by a child playing nearby. The girl hesitated, unsure if she should pick it up. The man gestured that it was okay, that she could join. She picked up the ball, and the small child clapped and giggled, pointing to the swings. The girl understood and began a game of gentle rolling back and forth with the ball. Her laughter, though silent to others, felt loud in her chest, a burst of joy she had not expected. The park started to empty as the afternoon light began to soften. The girl felt a twinge of sadness, not wanting this moment to end. The man noticed and smiled, then made a small gesture, inviting her to come back another day. She nodded eagerly, feeling a sense of anticipation she had not felt in a long time. For the first time, she realized that someone truly understood her world, someone who could communicate without needing words. As they stood to leave, he signed a simple message, "Happy birthday." Her eyes widened, tears of happiness welling up. She signed back, "Thank you," with all the sincerity in her heart. She felt a warmth spread through her chest, a connection that words could not capture. Walking home, she carried the memory of the park with her, the shared smiles, the gestures, and the understanding. She thought about her mother, who would be proud to see her daughter so happy, so engaged. The sketchbook was heavier in her arms, not just because of the pencils and drawings, but because of the feelings it now held. It had captured a moment of true connection, a memory that would stay with her. At home, she showed her mother the drawings and tried to explain what had happened, using gestures and the simple signs she knew. Her mother's eyes lit up with pride and curiosity. She asked questions and listened carefully, making the girl feel that her story mattered, that it was worth sharing. That night, as she lay in bed, the girl replayed the day in her mind. She remembered the gentle smiles, the playful gestures, the feeling of being seen. She whispered a quiet wish into the darkness, hoping that this was just the beginning of a new friendship, a new chapter in her life. She realized that birthdays did not have to be lonely, that sometimes unexpected encounters could bring joy and connection when she least expected it. Sleep came slowly, filled with dreams of the park, of laughter she could imagine, of gestures that spoke louder than words. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice told her that the world was full of people who could understand her, who could reach out and change a lonely day into a bright, unforgettable one. The next day, the girl woke feeling a little lighter than before. She remembered the man at the park, the gentle smile, the gestures that had made her feel seen. She got out of bed and went straight to her sketchbook, drawing the scene from yesterday in detail. She drew herself and the man, his small child, the swings, and even the ball they had played with. Each line carried the memory of laughter and connection she had never experienced before. Her mother entered the room, carrying a cup of warm tea. She noticed the drawings and paused, looking at her daughter with soft eyes. "You had a good day yesterday?" she asked, speaking slowly, giving her daughter time to respond. The girl nodded enthusiastically, her eyes shining. She tried to explain using gestures, showing the man, the park, the games, and the laughter. Her mother listened carefully, nodding and smiling, amazed at the bond her daughter had formed in such a short time. After breakfast, the girl insisted on going back to the park. Her mother hesitated, reminding her to be careful, but finally agreed. She packed a small bag with snacks and her sketchbook, and the girl set off, feeling anticipation bubbling inside. She walked faster than usual, imagining the park filled with possibilities, hoping that the man would be there again. When she arrived, the man was sitting on the same bench, his child playing nearby. As soon as he saw her, he waved and smiled. The girl waved back, her heart racing with excitement. She sat next to him, holding up her sketchbook to show the new drawings she had made. His eyes lit up as he flipped through the pages, pointing at details, clapping silently to show his appreciation. She felt proud, a warmth spreading through her chest. For the first time, she realized that someone was taking her passion seriously. Someone was paying attention to her world. The man had brought a few small art supplies for her, a gesture that made her feel special and included. She spread them out on the bench and they began drawing together. He mimicked her movements, creating simple sketches and encouraging her with gestures. Sometimes he would point to something in the park and she would capture it on paper, turning ordinary moments into treasures. She laughed quietly at his attempts to draw a swing, and he made a funny face, pretending to struggle with the lines. The small child joined in, giggling as they all created a little art circle right there on the bench. They spent hours together, communicating through gestures, smiles, and the shared language of creativity. The girl began teaching him a few simple signs she knew, and he repeated them carefully, making her laugh when he got them slightly wrong. She felt a thrill in teaching someone, in sharing a part of herself that few people understood. Each sign, each shared smile made her feel more confident and valued. After some time, the man suggested they take a small walk through the park. He gestured to follow him, and she eagerly did, her sketchbook tucked under her arm. They walked slowly, observing the children playing, the flowers blooming, and the soft sunlight filtering through the trees. The man pointed at a bird on a branch and mimed a song, showing her how to express its movement with gestures. She followed, mimicking his motions, and they both laughed at the fun they were having. They found a quiet spot near a small fountain. The girl sat down, dipping her fingers in the cool water, while the man sat across from her, watching her with gentle eyes. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small notebook, handing it to her. She opened it to find a few simple signs written down, ones she could practice and use when they met again. Her heart swelled with gratitude. He was not just spending time with her. He was helping her learn, helping her grow, and showing her that her world mattered. As the afternoon sun began to lower, the man handed her a small snack. She took it with a smile, feeling the simple joy of someone thinking of her needs. They continued to communicate, laughing at small jokes, sharing silent stories through gestures. She felt safe, happy, and alive in a way she had not felt before. Each moment was a thread weaving a connection that she hoped would last far beyond this afternoon. The girl began to open up more, sharing not just her drawings but also her thoughts and feelings through signs. She mimed her favorite games, her favorite foods, and even her dreams. The man listened patiently, responding with gestures, nods, and smiles that made her feel understood. She realized that communication was not just about words. It was about connection, attention, and care. She felt a deep appreciation for the man who had taken the time to see her, to understand her, and to include her in a way she had never experienced. As the park started to empty and shadows grew long, the man signed that it was time to go. The girl felt a twinge of sadness but nodded, understanding. They packed up the art supplies and he gestured that they could meet again soon. She waved goodbye to the small child and hugged her sketchbook tightly, feeling a warmth that spread through her chest. Walking home, she thought about the day, replaying every moment in her mind. She felt a new sense of hope, a belief that friendships could be formed even in unexpected ways. Her heart was full of anticipation for the next meeting, for the continuation of this new connection. She realized that kindness, patience, and understanding could change her world, making it brighter and more welcoming. At home, she rushed to show her mother the drawings and gestures she had learned. Her mother knelt beside her, asking questions and listening carefully. She saw the joy in her daughter's eyes and felt a wave of gratitude. The girl had found a small but meaningful connection, and her happiness was evident in every gesture, every smile. That night, as she lay in bed, the girl thought about the man in the park, the shared drawings, and the laughter. She felt a deep sense of excitement for tomorrow, for the possibility of another day filled with connection and understanding. She whispered a quiet wish into the dark room, hoping that this friendship would continue to grow, and that each day could bring new moments of joy and inclusion. Sleep came slowly, filled with dreams of sketches, gestures, and laughter. And in those dreams, she felt seen, valued, and understood, a feeling that warmed her heart and gave her courage. She knew that her world had expanded, that kindness could be found even in the simplest moments, and that someone who cared could turn loneliness into happiness, one gesture at a time. The following morning, The girl woke with a sense of excitement that she had not felt for years. Today felt different, a special energy in the air that promised something wonderful. She sat by her window, sketchbook in hand, thinking about the man in the park, about the shared moments and laughter. She imagined what today might bring, hoping that her new friendship would continue to grow. After breakfast, her mother reminded her to be careful outside. The girl nodded, her eyes sparkling, eager to reach the park. She clutched her sketchbook tightly as if it were a key to the magic that awaited her. Her steps were quick, her heart pounding with anticipation. The street seemed brighter today, as if echoing her excitement, and she could hardly wait to reach the familiar bench where she had met him. When she arrived, the man was already there, sitting with his small child playing beside him. He looked up, smiled warmly, and waved. The girl waved back, feeling a rush of happiness. She ran to the bench and sat down next to him, holding up her sketchbook to show the latest drawings she had made. His eyes lit up with delight as he flipped through the pages, pointing at details and signing compliments. The small child joined in, laughing and clapping, creating a small bubble of joy in the middle of the park. The man had brought a small surprise for her. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small, brightly wrapped box. The girl's eyes widened in astonishment. He signed, "Open it," and she carefully untied the ribbon, lifting the lid to see a set of colorful markers and a few new sketchbooks. Her hands trembled slightly with excitement. She signed back, "Thank you," with all the sincerity in her heart. The gesture made her feel seen, appreciated, and celebrated. They spent the morning drawing together, exchanging simple stories through gestures and shared laughter. The man mimicked her drawings, adding funny touches, and she giggled at his creativity. The small child giggled along, fascinated by the art, making everyone feel connected in their little circle. The girl felt a warmth she had never felt before, a sense of inclusion and friendship that filled the loneliness she had carried for so long. Later, the man suggested a small game. He signed for her to follow him, leading her to a quiet area of the park with a few benches arranged in a circle. He pulled out a small ball and showed her how to play a gentle toss game with his child. She laughed silently as she threw the ball back and forth, feeling the joy of interaction, of connection, of being part of something. Each toss, each catch created a bond, a shared rhythm that needed no words to exist. The afternoon sunlight began to soften, and the park grew quieter. The man gestured for a short break, and they sat together, sharing a small snack he had brought. They communicated through signs, teaching each other new words and practicing gestures. The girl felt her confidence grow with each successful sign. Realizing that she could express herself more fully than ever before, she began signing more boldly, sharing thoughts and feelings that she had kept inside for too long. Then the man surprised her with another gesture. He reached into his bag again and pulled out a small cake, simple but beautifully decorated. Her eyes widened with disbelief and joy. He signed, "I'm for your birthday," and her heart swelled. Tears of happiness filled her eyes as she touched the cake gently, feeling the love and care behind the gesture. The small child clapped, and together they celebrated, not with words but with smiles, gestures, and laughter that spoke louder than anything else. The girl felt a deep sense of belonging. She had spent so many birthdays quietly, feeling invisible and unheard, but today with this man and his child she was seen. Her art was appreciated, her gestures understood, her presence valued. Each small act of kindness, each thoughtful gesture, had transformed a lonely birthday into a day filled with warmth, joy, and connection. As the afternoon turned into evening, the girl realized that she would remember this day forever. She had discovered that kindness and understanding could make a world of difference, that simple gestures could create a sense of love and inclusion that words could not capture. She had learned that connection was possible, even in unexpected places, and that her world could be brighter than she had ever imagined. Walking home with her sketchbook and the small cake, she felt a sense of pride and happiness that she had never experienced before. She could not wait to tell her mother about the day, to show her the gestures, the drawings, and the joy she had felt. She felt a small, gentle hope that the bond she had formed would continue, that tomorrow could bring another day filled with shared laughter, gestures, and understanding. That night, as she lay in bed, the girl reflected on the day. She replayed the moments in her mind, the laughter, the drawings, the small gestures of kindness, the warmth of being understood. She whispered a quiet wish to the darkness, hoping that the friendship would grow, that each day could be filled with more moments like this. She drifted into sleep, her heart full, dreaming of a world where she was seen, heard, and loved. A world where small acts of kindness could change everything and turn loneliness into joy. The next morning, the girl woke feeling lighter than she had in years. The memories of her birthday, the laughter, the gestures, and the unexpected kindness still swirled in her mind like a warm breeze. She got out of bed and went straight to her sketchbook, adding new details to the scenes she had drawn over the past few days. Each line captured not just what she saw, but what she felt: hope, joy, and the excitement of newfound friendship. Her mother appeared with breakfast, smiling at her daughter's concentration. "You've been busy," she said softly. The girl nodded, holding up her sketchbook to show the new drawings. Her mother's eyes filled with pride. She could see the change in her daughter's demeanor, the spark of confidence and happiness that had been missing for so long. They shared a quiet breakfast, the kind that spoke volumes without needing words. After breakfast, the girl hurried to the park again. She wanted to see the man and his small child, to continue the connection that had brought so much light into her life. As she approached, she saw him sitting on the bench, his child playing nearby. He looked up and waved, his warm smile reassuring her that she was welcome. She waved back eagerly, her heart pounding with anticipation. She ran to the bench, sitting down next to him, holding her sketchbook proudly. He leaned over to see her new drawings, pointing at details and signing compliments. The small child clapped, excited by the colors and creativity. The girl felt a sense of belonging she had never known, a feeling that she was part of a world that finally understood her. She realized that these moments of connection were more precious than anything she had experienced before. The man had prepared another small surprise. He reached into his bag and pulled out a few small toys and treats, presenting them to her with a gentle smile. She was overwhelmed with gratitude and happiness, signing a heartfelt thank you. The man responded with a playful gesture, pretending to bow, making her laugh silently. The small child joined in, and together they created a little bubble of joy in the park, filled with gestures, smiles, and silent laughter. They spent the morning drawing, playing, and practicing sign language. The girl taught the man new signs she had learned, and he repeated them with care, showing her that he valued her teaching. She felt a thrill in sharing her knowledge and feeling competent and important. The small child watched and copied their gestures, adding a sense of fun and playfulness to the moment. The park became a place of creativity, learning, and connection, where words were unnecessary because understanding was already there. The afternoon sun grew warm, and the trio decided to take a small walk. They wandered along the paths of the park, noticing flowers, birds, and the movement of children playing. The man pointed to a tree and signed a new word for her, which she repeated excitedly. They practiced signs together, laughing at the mistakes and celebrating the successes. The girl felt empowered, realizing that communication was possible in many ways, and that she could express herself fully with people who cared enough to understand. As they returned to the bench, the man gestured for a short break. They shared a snack, signing and smiling, exchanging small stories through gestures. The girl felt her heart swell with gratitude. This day, which began like any other, had transformed into something extraordinary. She had found friendship, understanding, and connection in the simplest, most genuine form. Her birthday had become more than a day. It had become a turning point in her life. The man then surprised her with a small cake, decorated simply but beautifully. She gasped silently, tears welling in her eyes. He signed, "Happy Birthday," and she signed back, "Thank you," with all the emotion she could convey. The small child clapped and laughed, joining in the celebration. They shared the cake, each bite sweetened not just by sugar but by love, attention, and understanding. The girl felt truly seen and appreciated, a feeling she had longed for her whole life. As the day drew to a close, the girl realized that her birthday had become a memory she would cherish forever. The man had shown her that kindness could transform loneliness into joy, that connection could be found in gestures, smiles, and shared experiences. She had learned that being understood was one of the most precious gifts anyone could give. Walking home with her sketchbook and the small cake, she felt a sense of pride and happiness. She could not wait to show her mother the gestures, the drawings, and the joy she had experienced. She knew that her world had expanded, that kindness and understanding had opened new doors for her. Each step felt lighter, each breath filled with hope and anticipation for the days to come. At home, she eagerly shared the day with her mother, signing and showing the drawings, the gestures, and the laughter she had experienced. Her mother listened carefully, her eyes filled with emotion. She could see the growth in her daughter, the newfound confidence and the joy that radiated from her. The girl felt proud, knowing that she had made a real connection, one that would continue to shape her world in positive ways. That night, as she lay in bed, the girl reflected on the entire birthday experience. She thought about the loneliness of previous years, the quiet mornings and the small moments of longing, and now she felt a profound sense of gratitude. She had discovered that kindness, patience, and understanding could change lives, that simple gestures could create lasting bonds, and that even in a quiet, lonely world, friendship and joy could be found. She whispered a quiet wish to the darkness, hoping that the connection she had found would grow stronger, that each day could bring new moments of laughter, gestures, and shared experiences. She felt safe, loved, and seen, a feeling that gave her courage and hope. Sleep came gently, filled with dreams of sketches, gestures, and laughter, a world where she belonged, a world where small acts of kindness could transform lives, and a heart full of hope for the future. The following morning, the girl woke with a quiet excitement, the events of her birthday still lingering warmly in her mind. She sat by the window, her sketchbook open, her pencils ready. Today she felt ready to create again, inspired by the connection she had experienced with the man and his child. Each line she drew captured not only what she saw but also the feelings that had grown in her heart: joy, hope, and trust. Her mother came in quietly, carrying a small breakfast. She noticed the intensity in her daughter's eyes as she worked and smiled softly. She had seen the change in her daughter over the past few days, a new sense of confidence, a bright spark that had been missing for so long. She asked gently if she wanted to go to the park again, and the girl nodded enthusiastically, her hands gripping the sketchbook with excitement. On the walk to the park, the girl felt lighter than she had in years. The street she had once found quiet and lonely now seemed full of possibility. She thought about the gestures, the laughter, and the small surprises that had made her birthday unforgettable. She imagined what new adventures might await her today, and felt a sense of anticipation that made each step feel quicker, each breath warmer. When she arrived at the park, the man was already there, sitting on the familiar bench, his child playing nearby. He waved warmly and she waved back, her heart racing with happiness. She ran to the bench, settling next to him, her sketchbook open and ready. He leaned over to look at her drawings, pointing at details, signing compliments, and making her feel proud and valued. The small child clapped and giggled, joining in the playful energy that filled the air. The man had brought a small surprise for her again. He reached into his bag and pulled out a few art supplies she had not seen before, colorful markers and pencils that made her eyes widen with delight. He signed, "For you," and she signed back, "Thank you," her heart full of gratitude. The gesture made her feel appreciated and included, and she could not stop smiling. They spent the morning drawing together, sharing ideas, laughing at small mistakes, and celebrating each success. The girl taught him a few new signs she had learned, and he repeated them carefully, making her laugh when he got them slightly wrong. The small child tried to copy their gestures, giggling at the funny motions, and together they created a little world of joy and connection, where words were unnecessary because understanding flowed naturally between them. Later, the man suggested a small game, a gentle activity that involved tossing a ball back and forth. The girl felt her excitement rise as she joined in, laughing silently as the ball moved between them. The small child joined in eagerly, creating a rhythm of shared motion and joy. Each toss and catch strengthened their bond, and the girl realized that connection could be built in many ways, not just through words. After the game, they found a quiet spot near a small fountain. The girl dipped her fingers into the cool water, feeling its refreshing touch while the man watched her with a kind, protective presence. He pulled out a small notebook, handing it to her, filled with new signs to practice and use. Her heart swelled with gratitude. He was not just a friend. He was a mentor, someone who valued her growth and encouraged her to express herself fully. As the afternoon sunlight softened, the girl felt a sense of peace. She had discovered that being understood was one of the most precious gifts anyone could offer. The man and his child had shown her that kindness and patience could transform loneliness into joy, and she felt a deep sense of appreciation for the simple, meaningful connection they shared. The man then brought out another small surprise, a simple picnic he had prepared. The girl's eyes widened with delight, and she signed a heartfelt thank you. They shared sandwiches, fruit, and small treats, communicating through gestures, signs, and smiles. The small child laughed at their playful exchanges, adding a sense of fun and lightness to the afternoon. The girl felt a warmth in her heart, knowing that she was not alone, that she had found people who genuinely cared about her. As the day progressed, the girl and the man continued to draw, play, and learn together. She felt her confidence grow with each successful sign, each shared laugh, and each moment of understanding. The small child's laughter filled the space around them, creating a bubble of happiness that seemed to shield them from the rest of the world. The girl realized that joy could be found in the simplest moments: a gesture, a smile, a shared game. When the afternoon came to a close, the girl felt a twinge of sadness at leaving the park. She had come to love these moments, the sense of connection and the laughter that filled the air. The man signed that it was time to go, and she nodded, understanding. They packed up their supplies, and he gestured that they could meet again soon. She waved goodbye to the small child, hugging her sketchbook tightly, feeling a sense of warmth and contentment. Walking home, the girl reflected on the day, replaying each moment in her mind. She thought about the laughter, the gestures, the small surprises, and the warmth of being understood. She realized that kindness and connection could transform her world, turning loneliness into joy and creating memories she would cherish forever. At home, she shared the day with her mother, using gestures and signs to explain the experiences she had had. Her mother listened carefully, her eyes filled with pride and emotion. She could see the growth in her daughter, the newfound confidence and the joy that radiated from her. The girl felt proud and happy, knowing that she had found a connection that would continue to shape her world in positive ways. That night, as she lay in bed, the girl thought about the past days and the changes they had brought. She felt a profound sense of gratitude for the man and his child, for the gestures, the laughter, and the small acts of kindness that had made her feel seen and valued. She whispered a quiet wish, hoping that this bond would grow stronger and that each day could bring new moments of joy, understanding, and connection. Sleep came gently, filled with dreams of sketches, gestures, and laughter. In her dreams, she felt safe, loved, and understood, a feeling that gave her courage and hope. She knew that her world had expanded, that kindness and empathy could change lives, and that even in quiet, lonely moments, friendship and joy could be found. She held on to that hope, ready to face each new day with a heart full of gratitude and excitement, knowing that connection and understanding were always possible when someone cared enough to reach out.